All right, welcome back, people. I'm not gonna cover the dollar today, simply because I already covered it in my last video, or a little detail. I am gonna just go over a new pattern that came up on Bitcoin. It's a bearish pattern, obviously, but it's a pattern that I think won't be a surprise to some of you. Anyways, let's just on with the show. Um, So no change on the monthly from the last video, so I don't need to cover this one more in detail. If you want me to, or I guess if you want more detail on this, you can go back to the last video I made. It's no biggie. On this one, this was a little bit of a miscalculation on my part. I might have put it too soon, but nonetheless, the result is the same. The drop is happening. I guess this thing must have suckered in some people to thinking that we were gonna rally, because a lot of people were saying we're gonna rally. See, I had my bearish pennant or whatever, so let me adjust this bitch now. What is it like? Attaboy, that now looks like a fucking proper flag, but that also means that I need to adjust the pole to right around probably there. So that pushes out, yeah, to October 9, but it does push the price a little bit not where I wanted it. Pushes it to 58,000. I'm not so sure I like that. I want to say if I had to use the pivot, I'm sorry, not the, I'm sorry, yeah, the pivot tool, I'd say support 2 at 56 seems a little more accurate. But as a big resistance or support, there would be this line at probably 56 flat. Either way, the indicator system did give us a hint that this was happening or going to happen. A lot of people, I'm sure, when they saw this shit trying to break out, they thought, "Oh, it's that fool got it wrong." I'm like, I'm going by indicators, people. I'm not going by my own fucking thoughts. It's taken months to put these indicators and tweak them to work specifically the way they work. So yeah. So long story short, I suspect uh, the next 2 to 3 days are going to be down, but probably across the board down, even for a lot of things. So let me show you the other patterns I found. I'm just going to jump right into it. 2 minutes, not bad. Okay. There is one bullish chart signal versus the rest that are bearish, so I do need to cover that just for the bulls in here that are hoping that there'll be a surprise rally. If you look at this setup on the right side, these triangles tend to signal a strong move wherever the direction they're pointing to. So this triangle was pointing down, direction went down, baby. But the cycles were already helping me, so I had a bit of a guide already on that part. Now, excuse me. This triangle pointed up, and so we, again, knowing that we were in a cycle, with this combined with the cycle, we knew it was going to pump. But we knew once we reach the end of the cycle, it's a bit of a turbulent moment. And I mean, if you're watching this on TradingView, you can jump back to all the videos I posted before around this date range in April of this year. I was saying don't fuck with cycles; they're pretty good. Now, for the bulls, there is an upward push triangle, but there's a big but here. It's a little too soon for my taste because of the other patterns that have now become visible. And I'll show you one pattern and then one candlestick pattern that is very bearish. So, and it signals that we're going to get a flush down in the next 24 to 48 hours. So I'm just going to keep going because I don't want to spend too much time on this shit today. I have a full-time job, people, and I also have a business. And then so I do the charting as a hobby, but as an investor, like when I see the entry points, the like the low points, I do buy in, and I do sell at the top. I don't hide it. So on my videos in TradingView around this area in March, you will see, if you look at all my March videos, you'll see that in several videos around March and April, I was selling my positions and getting out back here around the top. So now, am I going to get back in? This depends on what happens. So there is a entry point coming up, and I think that's what this. I mean, I guess as an investor, this might be something cool. Okay, so this chart pattern is saying that right now, let me just full screen this bad boy. If you notice, there, like, I'm a visual person. In TradingView, I explained that when I took a IQ test, when it came to visual patterns, I scored really high. But when it came to math, I scored average. Like, I'm not that good at math, but I'm able to keep up. But when it comes to visual problem solving and puzzles, I'm able to spot patterns almost instantly. So obviously here I spotted trends where it's like, okay, bottom here, bottom here, bottom here, and there's a trend line. Top here, and top here. There's another trend line. The difference is this: if you notice, the gap between them is the same. So one thing to notice is the high occurred towards the end, this high towards the middle, and this high towards the beginning. So if I had to take an educated guess, I would say the next low, which is still around 2026, I remain that has not changed and probably will not change. That the 2026 will be the next massive re-entry point. So I don't know. One thing that has not happened is a double top. And if we do get a double top using this indicator, then the 2026 is going to be extremely destructive. So I personally don't want that to happen. But you never know. Just again, just by going by visual pattern, you'll see this one towards the end, this one towards the middle, this one towards the beginning, and so it's just something to point out. Now, the other indicators, let's go. This one here is saying that we are going to see a reversal to the upside, which is good, but this still signals there's more pain. One more, I think, potential flush down. Now, my favorite indicator, you all know, the MACD, uh, is signaling that still more downside bought. There is some leveling off using the lighter bars. So there is a potential. If I see this blue line flatten out, that's a very positive bullish sign, but it hasn't flattened out. So therefore, I'm still bearish. And as I get to the next charts, you guys will see why. Close this bitch out. So again, see the triangle is visible here again at the B point where it could be an A, B, and then a C, but this could mean that we might be into wave 5, which again, I don't think it's going to be past 100,000. I've said it so many times. But it could be that we have one more flush down before we move. And this leads me into the next chart pattern. So with this system, just to put some historical context, I use the Pi Cycle top indicators and the Pi Cycle bottom indicators. They're two separate indicators. You can look them up. I don't give a fuck. But the bottom stuff, I worked all of this out on my own. I did like math, percentages, and then I did visual pattern recognition on my own. And I realized there is always a final, absolute final entry point in Bitcoin before the massive rallies. I was able to pinpoint that with cycles and all that. And I found that this, and I have a potential, you see from here, I have a potential re-entry point, and again, it's in fucking 2026. Specifically, if you guys want to know which months, somewhere between October 26 and January 2027, there might be an absolute destructive low that'll probably make people cry, and some people might self-delete. But again, I don't want to project that far out. All I know is that using this system that I basically put together janky-ass system. Visually, 2026 seems to be the next best entry for anyone that's missed out on all of these gains. And you're thinking, fuck, will I ever get a chance? Yeah, but you're a few years early. Anyways, on to the current setup we have right here. This triangle is saying that this wants to rally. However, I need to see what happens in the next 24 to 48 because these next patterns I'm going to show you will probably invalidate and this triangle might go away. But you see, this one indicator is saying that we're closer to the top than the bottom. We want to see it green. If this, let's say, pattern here was green and I had this triangle, I'd be balling in. I'd be buying like a crazy madman because this would signal that there's a rally. And then I see this is a impulsive move to the upside. But we don't have that. This is closer to the top, closer to the top. This is getting ready to fucking turn. You see that right there? And so, yeah. Anyways, let's close it. So again, this is all bearish. And so here's the new pattern that is now visible because of what's happening. So you see, there's every rising wedge and falling wedge. When lines intersect, price direction changes. Don't ask me why that is. That's just what I've seen. And this chart pattern that I've dubbed the kitchen knives because everybody's catching falling knives. So I'm just going to give a historical reference as to why I consider it very valuable. I'm going to go back all the way because people say, oh, did you back test it? Did you back test it? Fuck you. I did back test it. Back in 2013, rising wedge, intersecting line, change in direction. Even though it was sideways, but it was still a change in direction. We move fast forward to a falling wedge right here. Let me just go like this. Right there. Falling wedge, big ass falling wedge. Lines intersect, change of direction. Rising wedge, intersecting lines, change of direction. Keep up with me, people. This is serious shit right here. Rising wedge, intersecting lines, change of direction and price. Rising wedge, intersecting lines, change in direction. Now this went sideways, but it still went in a way up. Another rising wedge, but I did the kitchen shit because of the joke. They're catching falling knives right there, baby. It's a knife, intersecting line, change in direction and price. Another rising wedge, change in direction. Big fucking scissor right here, baby. Intersecting lines, change in direction. Massive, massive line, rising wedge, intersecting lines, change in price direction. You see that? Now we zoom into what's currently happening. Falling wedge, intersecting lines, change in price direction to the downside. I don't have a wedge here, so I don't know what the fuck happened here, so don't ask. Rising wedge, intersecting lines, change in price direction. Now, the red lines are the brand new chart that I just visually caught. It's a rising wedge. So for those of you that are familiar with basic chart patterns, a rising wedge is actually bearish. So this rising wedge signals that at some point we might get a flush down. Now, the white sideways fucking triangle, whatever, I don't know what to call that. That one has two important dates. One, you see the rising wedge, it's intersecting here. Notice the date, fucking November 4th, the night right before the election. I mean, this can't get any fucking crazier than that. The second white line triangle, whatever, intersects around December 1st, 2024. I don't know what this means. All I'm saying is all of these everywhere they intersect, there's something significant that occurs. Don't ask me why. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm a visual person. I can spot patterns a lot faster than most people. So what I spotted here is this, and it intersects here. Which again, look at all the how it connects with this top resistance line. Intersects here, which is also the date of the night of the election, and then you have these like right there, intersected right there with the white line, and it bounced off this one, which connects here. But then the main support line is this white one, which intersects with its other white line on December 1st. So I think December 1st is a critical date to mark. I don't know what it means. But then here we have the intersecting red lines at the election night. So if I had to make an educated guess just by the logic of what I've seen, this could break down. And I don't know if it bounces off 57. I honestly don't know. Or if it breaks it and then at some point at the election night, it fucking rallies. I don't know. This is where it gets very tricky. And I pointed out in my last video that Bitcoin was going to do that bullshit of this, do this. It's looking a lot likely that it's going to do that. So, anyways, this is a new pattern that came up. Just wanted to point it out. Nothing special. But again, the funny part is that it intersects at the election night. So I do expect the election night to be a turning point, whether bullish or bearish. I don't know yet. But that means this rising wedge would hint that we should expect further price drop at some point. So again, the next 24 to 48, this is signaling another drop just because it's a rising wedge. That's it. Nothing fancy here. There's no fucking indicators. This is just a visual thing that I see. All right, let's move on. Let me close this out because I don't want to come back. 14 minutes. No change in this one, so I don't really want to talk about this. If you saw my last video, you can go back and watch this section. There's no point. Right. Let me go. I already mentioned this one. The signals here is turning down. MACD's turning down. So again, nothing special. Turn down, turning down. No, nothing new to report on this one, so no point. This one does have two new signals that I marked them with the yellow arrow. There is two critical things to watch on this one. The first one is the 3-day chart, this candle, and then the weekly, this little shit little candle right there. Both of these candles, oh shit, I just spotted a third one right there. These candles, if you're not familiar with them, well, this one was looking like it, but it's not, but I'm going to cover them anyway. On the 2-day, this is a gravestone doji, meaning very bearish, ready to roll down. In fact, look at the MACD, it's getting ready to cross down. So that makes perfect sense to me that that candle wants to push the price down. The next one, the 3-day, that's a falling hammer, or what we call an inverse hammer. That means it's going to push the price down. So again, the 3-day, if the price drops according to the 2-day, but if the 3-day drops into the 62,200 range, 62,200, and it closes tomorrow, then oh man, October 9th is going to be fucking brutal because that's a gravestone doji. It's going to push the price down significantly. So we might get a flush down sometime in the next um, 24 to 48 hours. It's just that's what I'm seeing coming here. Now, if the weekly closes with a gravestone doji, that's fucking it's going to rip people's faces off going down. So I just wanted to point that out here that on this chart setup, the 2-day, the 3-day, and the weekly are giving warning signals. The first warning signal is on the 2-day with a gravestone, then the 3-day with a possible inverse hammer or falling hammer, but that hammer could become a gravestone doji. And if it does, look out below, man. That shit's gonna hurt. Whoops. Let me save it and close out. 17 minutes. All right. Uh The only thing that's flagging a warning on this one is this cycle indicator that says we are at a topping phase right here. But I don't, again, because everything else is like topping, and this one already turned, and this one's about to turn down, and then the hammer. I I don't even worry. This thing is basically saying there's another drop coming in the next 24 to 48. So everything is signaling to be ready this week. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I don't read beyond the charts. I just read the charts, and that's it. Again, the bullish triangle here is saying that we might see a rally, and it kind of hints that Trump might be the winner in the election. But it goes back to my point, nothing here should be taken seriously until we get to the election night. The election night is really where shit's gonna get crazy. I would venture to guess, and this is just me going out on a limb on a conspiracy note here, that exchanges everywhere are gonna fucking lock up because of so many people moving, trying to get out or liquidating. Like I think that election night in the United States is gonna cause so much. Uh, what are those called? So much exchange issues. Like all these crypto exchanges are going to experience dramatic uptick in activity, whether people liquidating or people buying. But anyways, I'm not here to speculate on that. I'm just here to show that there is a bullish sign here, but from the previous charts, it doesn't seem that likely. Yeah, so look, this one is about to cross down and it's on the weekly. This one's about to cross down on the weekly. This one already crossed down on the weeklies, and this one's saying down, down. I covered these more in detail in my video, my last video, so I don't want to repeat myself. So nothing new here except they haven't changed direction. They're all pointing down. Renko is ready. Renko is signaling just be ready for the drop. Literally, be ready because it's topped, ready to turn. And this one is getting to cross the white line, signals a downturn. This one is topping, getting ready. This one has already topped. This one is right there already turning. MACD is beginning to flatten out. So Renko is basically at 80 to 90% ready to bring the price back down. So now this one I don't think I mentioned on my last one, but it's basically the bottom MACD, and I've told everyone MACD is my personal favorite because you can see right here MACD on the 2 week signal the death cross right here. Now for those of you fucking technical terms, technical traders out there, the MACD does not have a death cross. It sure fucking does. When you go into the higher time frames, the death cross on the MACD is significant, but the same is true in reverse. The 2 week MACD golden cross, oh, that's when you go all in balls deep, baby. Look at that. Boom. Not a single cross down. This is where I'm worried, and this is why I think we're not out of the woods yet. Sure, these candles are lighter, but that's what happened here. 3 candles light and then more downside. So I'm not, again, we went into this MACD divergence, which MACD is pointing the price should be down, but so far I think retail is saying that no, price should be up. So there's a tug of war here. But if you go just by the indicators, the MACD is saying this bit should be lower. Now, I know that some people watching this are not going to be happy watching this, but I mean, that's what the charts are saying. If I was seeing these lighter bars here, like, but smaller here, I would say, yeah, this bitch is probably going to turn. But the lighter bars are the same size. They're not necessarily smaller. So this MACD continues further down in the divergence, which means up here, the price, it's really hanging by a thread. So I'll let it go. I'll leave it that. MACD on the indicators on the 12 is trying to cross, but it's not there. The 1 day is again still down. The 2 day is again getting ready to death cross, but hasn't done so. The 3 day is flattening out, trying to move back up because of all the price action, but we have to wait, I guess, until tomorrow's close. So this chart setup isn't telling us much versus the other charts that are. This one again, to close up on this one, I said on my last video, and I remember saying it, that the only indicator here was this one, and it was projecting a couple thousand up. If you don't believe me, go watch my last video, and I clear cut said it. This indicator is the only one on the weekly saying the price should rally, but by a couple thousand. Literally what I said, by a couple thousand, and that's literally what fucking happened. However, if you look at this other one with the cycles, you can see MACD peaked out and then began a descent into the cycle trough. And so right here, MACD is again getting ready to go down, even though the cycle trough is currently where we're at right now. This shit is getting ready. So if this does cross, we could see into 2025 and then 2026, like I said, being the absolute low. Like, I mean, draw it out for you geniuses. This could be like this. This could be like this. And then somewhere out here. Yeah. So basically, the MACD is already saying like there's not much room left to the upside because it's flattening out. If this MACD on next month gets closer, which again we'll know way before then because of this next 24 to 48 hours, we'll know. But right now this ain't looking that great. All right, so yeah, the price is rallying right now. It's hitting that strong pivot point resistance of 62,769. It's just hitting it and it can't seem to get above it. I suspect that because of the indicator swing trade setup I have here, um, the price has to go down. But when we see the blue line on this indicator flat, and then we see the red line at the bottom, with the green one also towards the bottom, that would might be the next re-entry point before the next big upward push, like a big fucking upward push. So yeah, yeah, I don't got much more to say. Fuck that. Anyways, I'm a little tired, people. Good luck. Just wanted to cover this. Peace out.